In World Sailing Case 11, 3 boats were close-hauled on a windward leg of a race. 2 of the boats were overlapped on port-tack, both approaching a starboard boat. The port boat to windward, the red one in this animation, hailed for room to pass astern of the starboard boat when they were about 3 hull lengths away. The port boat to leeward of them, the blue boat here, ignored the hail and maintained their course. The red boat bore away to avoid the starboard boat, making contact with the blue boat. There was no damage nor injury. The red boat protested the blue boat for failing to give room at an obstruction. Was their protest upheld or dismissed? Here are the relevant racing rules. Under Rule 11, the red boat was required to keep clear of the blue boat, which was on the same tack and overlapped to leeward of them. Under the definition of obstruction, the starboard boat was an obstruction to both the red boat and the blue boat. If they were sailing directly toward the starboard boat and 1 hull length away, neither the red boat nor the blue boat could pass the starboard boat without making a substantial course change. Note that a boat need not actually be heading directly at an object and 1 length away from it for the object to count as an obstruction. And since the object is another boat racing, it must also be a right-of-way boat for it to count as an obstruction, which the starboard boat was in this case. Under Rule 10, both boats on port-tack were required to keep clear of the starboard boat. Next, under Rule 19.2a, because they had right-of-way over the red boat, the blue boat was entitled to pass the starboard boat on either side. However, since they chose to pass to leeward of the starboard boat, under Rule 19.2b, the blue boat was required to give the red boat, which was overlapped inside of them relative to the obstruction, room to likewise pass to leeward of the starboard boat. The protest committee initially disqualified the red boat, stating that Rule 19.2b did not apply because the red boat could have tacked away, and that the red boat had broken Rule 11. The red boat appealed, and the appeals committee found that the blue boat had broken Rule 19.2b by not giving the red boat room to pass the obstruction on the same side they did. The red boat was not required to hail for this room, so their hail was not relevant to the case. Although the appeals committee found that the red boat had indeed broken Rule 11, the red boat was exonerated because they were sailing within the room they were entitled to under Rule 19.2b. The protest committee's decision to disqualify the red boat was overturned, and the red boat was reinstated. The blue boat was disqualified for breaking Rule 19.2b. Under Rule 14, boats must avoid contact if reasonably possible. The appeals committee ruled that, when it became clear that the blue boat was not giving the red boat room at an obstruction, it was no longer possible for the red boat to avoid contact, so the red boat did not break Rule 14. On the other hand, the blue boat broke Rule 14 because they could have borne away. However, they were exonerated under Rule 43.1c because they were the right-of-way boat and there was no damage nor injury. In summary, when boats are overlapped at an obstruction, including an obstruction that is a right-of-way boat, the outside boat must give the inside boat room between them and the obstruction. Stay tuned as I discuss World Sailing Case 125 next, after which I'll return to Case 11 to talk about which of these boats had the right to hail for room to tack. Meanwhile, consider hitting that subscribe button if you found this content useful so far. It helps us produce more of these videos. In World Sailing Case 125, 3 close-hauled, overlapped boats on port tack were approaching a boat on starboard tack. Only the most windward of the 3 overlapped boats needed to change course to avoid a collision with the starboard boat. That boat, the blue boat in this animation, bore away to pass astern of the starboard boat. The middle boat responded by also bearing away, but the leeward boat held their course, and there was contact between the middle boat and the red boat. There was no damage nor injury. The middle boat protested the red boat. The same racing rules apply in this case. In addition, under the definition of room, the red boat was required to give enough room to the middle boat, not only for the middle boat on their own, but also enough room for the middle boat to comply with their obligations to give other boats room. Like the red boat, the middle boat was required by Rule 19.2b to give the blue boat room to pass astern of the starboard boat. By not changing course, the red boat broke Rule 19.2b. In summary, when an outside overlapped boat is required to give room to one or more inside boats to pass an obstruction, the space they give must be sufficient to permit all the inside boats to comply with their obligations under the rules of Part 2. Which of these boats had the right to hail for room to tack? In Case 11, the red boat had to tack before the blue boat could tack. If the blue boat wanted to tack rather than pass astern of the starboard boat, could they have hailed the red boat for room to tack? Under Rule 20.1, to hail for room to tack, a boat must be sailing close-hauled or above and would soon have to change course substantially to avoid an obstruction. Although the blue boat was close-hauled approaching an obstruction, they did not have to make a substantial course change to avoid the starboard boat, so they were not entitled to hail for room to tack. Nonetheless, if they had hailed, the red boat would have been obligated to respond under Rule 20.2. Similarly, none of the boats in Case 125 that needed room to tack were entitled to hail for room to tack, because they did not need to change course substantially to avoid the starboard boat. What could these boats have done differently? Comment below and subscribe to our channel for upcoming videos. Also check out our playlists for related cases. Thanks for watching.